Hello everybody, I think we're live. Apologies about the graphics below being quite poor. Yeah, unfortunately I can't fit every single driver into this. So in terms of like position and their name, so just gonna have to deal with that. But hello everybody, just gonna check everything's working on the stream. Yeah, everything's working. Okay, good. Right. I'm going to go and quickly promote this on Insta, etc. And we shall get going. But yeah, we've got the sprint coming up at 1. Let's see. Give me a second, guys. I will check the chat in a momentum. Just gonna tweet it out as well. But yeah, this is going to be a very interesting sprint because we've got, as you can see below, Oscar Piastri on pole, Lando Norris in second, Charles Leclerc third, Max Verstappen fourth, Carlos Sainz fifth, George Russell sixth, Pierre Gasly seventh, Liam Lawson 8th, Alex Albon 9th, Ollie Bearman 10th, Lewis Hamilton 11th, Nico Hülkenberg in 12th, Sergio Perez in 13th, Franco Colapinto in 14th, Bottas 15th, Alonso 16th, Ocon 17th, Tsunoda 18th, Stroll 19th, and last place is Zhou. Right. Oh, hang on a second. I've got to get chat up on my phone. Let me just quickly sort everything out. I wasn't even sure if this was going to go ahead or not with our stream. But yes, Magnussen is not going to be racing this weekend, which is a shame for him. Because he is ill. Apologies about the background sound. Yeah, he's not feeling great. Hopefully he'll be alright. We don't know what the illness is. We just hope he's okay. Yeah, he's feeling unwell is what it says. So this is going to be his third race of the season for Ollie Bearman. So good luck to him. Hopefully he does alright. I'm going to go and get the sprint up on my screen. Yeah, they're just the ad breaks at the moment. So I'm going to see if I can sort out this graphic real quick because it has been a bit of a pester. Actually, no, I probably won't try and sort it because it's just a bit too much hassle in my opinion. It's really annoying. It's a shame because I worked quite hard on all these graphics and this one's just making the others look absolutely awful. Tell you what, actually, I'll get rid of that. Yeah, just gonna have to deal with it. I might put like a scroll on. Like, I might make images out of it. I'm not sure though. But anyway, point is, we're here now. The sprint race is about to happen. Well, we've still got another half an hour before it starts. Just so I'd get here nice and early once again. So yeah. Whew. Try to see if I can. Yeah, they're showing ads for Despicable Me 4 at the moment. Hello, Sam. What time is GP qualifying? I think it's on at 7 o'clock. So I will be here for that. I wasn't sure if I'd actually be here to do this, but we're here. So this is going to be very interesting. Kevin Magnussen, as I said, out for the rest of the weekend with illness. So Ollie Bearman's going to be filling in for him once again. So what I'm thinking for the graphic of Bearman is if he scores more than 6 points this weekend, I'll change it to white. Because he scored 6 out of 7 of his points with Ferrari, I've decided just to go with Ferrari for that color. I don't know how to make it multicolored, so I'm just gonna have to deal with that. And I just realized you cannot see 13th. You can't see the Haas drivers right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and change their color to make it red with a. Is there an outline I can go with? Outline, yeah. Outline color. I'll make red. There, I think you guys can see that. Oh, I could do that with Ollie, actually. I could do that with Bearman. Oh, no, because... Wait a minute, have I got his by itself, or have I got him in with all the Ferrari drivers? I do, okay. Never mind. But yeah, I think you guys can see that. That's actually really good. I think that looks quite good, actually. Okay, cheers. I'm going out now, so no spoilers, please. Yeah, I will... I mean, I'm not gonna post. I mean, I'm not gonna post about it on my story anyway. I'm just the only thing I was using Instagram for was to, you know, announce the stream, I suppose. But yeah. Oh my goodness, they got Bernie in the comms. Right. That's good. It's good that they've got Bernie on comms because she's really good and she has a lot of insight. They're doing like a little marching band thing right now. Are the Brazilian, I think it's a music band of some sort, like an orchestra. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Of course, Interlagos has a lot of history in Formula 1. Some Formula 1 champions have won here from Brazil. In fact, I think 2 out of 3 of them have. And somebody looked like they were going to be one of them until the very last corner of the season, aka Felipe Massa, because he won the 2006 and 2008 Brazilian Grand Prix. 2008 being the race that could have won him the World Championship before a certain Timo Glock on dry tyres and wet conditions got passed by Lewis Hamilton at the last corner, Junsao, well, the last proper corner on the track, which is where the McLaren is going through now. So it's quite interesting because Oscar Piastri actually said before, I think he said yesterday, if it comes to, you know, the situation that I'm first and Lando's second, I'm going to let him through, which is very interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and if the Ferrari of Leclerc or even Verstappen or Sainz could be up there with them. And that is Franco Colapinto that's currently in the pits. I don't know what's going on there. I think maybe they're just... I don't know if there's a problem with his car or not. Obviously, I can't listen to it because I've got the music on right now. But what I could do is I could have a little look at it. And try and put it in a specific window. I'll try that actually, yeah. Desktop audio, where's desktop audio? Audio mixer. No, I don't want audio mixer. I don't want audio mixer. Right, okay, yeah, tell you what, I'll just leave it like that. Yeah, Colapinto's coming out onto the track now. And it'll be interesting to see what the compounds will be. I don't know if it'll be interesting to see if anybody's going to risk it and go on the softs. Well, if Colapinto's going on the softs, so that makes me wonder, is everybody else on the softs? Or is he just taking a bit of a bold move and going for the hard tire, and going for the soft when everyone else is on the mediums? So that'll be interesting to keep an eye out on as well. But here he comes coming out the pit lane now. Coming out the Senna S's. But as I was saying, yeah, Brazil's got a lot of history in Formula 1, especially Interlagos. First race here was held in 1973. It was won by none other than Sao Paulo native Emerson Fittipaldi, and he was extremely delighted that he won that race, especially considering it was his home race. But he isn't the only driver to win the Brazilian Grand Prix as a home driver at Interlagos. Ayrton Senna won here twice, in 1991 and in 1993, I believe. I think it was 1993. Yeah, 1991 he won it. And he famously won that after basically being in one gear, or for most of the final part of the race, or only in a couple gears in the final part of the race. And as a result, he basically fainted and could barely get up on the podium. He needed help standing, I'm pretty sure. And the Argentine fans are here for Franco Colapinto. You can see them there. They're with their flags. I do not think that they expected this to be happening so soon. I think they were expecting him to be in F1 eventually, but not this soon. But things have now happened, and well, that is the situation that we are in, and he has done a very good job. He has already scored more points than Logan Sargent has in his entire history, and they're showing like an onboard from the 50s around the Nürburgring, I think that is, and I don't know who they're talking about. That's Senna winning at Monaco, that's Sterling Moss, that's Fangio driving around Modena. I'm trying to figure out who that is. Is that Brabham? That's the Williams drivers. There's Senna again. Prost. Senna and Mansell around Monaco, battling for the win in 1992. And then that's, is that Gonzalez? Honestly, right, the history of F1, once you start looking into it, it is crazy. And some of the stories from the past are just so mind-blowing that you wouldn't believe them. That's what I will say. There's Ted Kravitz. Don't know what he's talking about, but there's Ayrton Senna at Monza winning. I don't know if this is on about like rivalries or anything like that. What on earth is it? Okay, I don't know what this whole story is. I can't listen to it. It's so confusing. I mean, that's an old... Oh, there's Kimi Räikkönen winning at Abu Dhabi when he goes, leave me alone, I know what to do. And then Ted Kravitz talking a bit more, and yeah, honestly, all sorts of history going on here in Formula 1. It's a lot more historic than people think. Believe it or not, it did start all the way back in 1950, and there have been some incredible drivers who have raced in the sport, some of whom have raced around Interlagos and won around Interlagos. I mean, if I get the list up for you right now, I mean, some of the drivers who have won here is incredible. Let me have a little look and see if I can find it. There we go. Okay, so yeah, here it is. So I mean, here's just a few. I mean, there was 3 Brazilian Grand Prix winners in a row at Interlagos, and that was Emerson Fittipaldi twice in 1974 and in 1973. Oh, hang on, that's come off its stand. Oops, oopsie doo. So, as I'm saying, 2 Brazilian Grand Prix winners in a row, 3 events. Emerson Fittipaldi in 1973 and 1974, and then Jose Carlos Pache in 1975. Then we wouldn't have another winner at Interlagos until 1991 when Ayrton Senna won in what was an incredible drive. I'm just going to see if I've got the details right about him basically driving in 6th gear. Let me have a little look. Yeah, Senna's gearbox was failing. Yeah, he was basically just stuck in 6th gear for the rest of the race, and he for like a solid like 10 laps, and he somehow managed to win the race, which is crazy. Hey, it's Abby Pulling. I interviewed her. Go and check that out. Yeah, so that's sort of what is the history of Brazil. I mean, there's been more recent winners at the Brazilian Grand Prix that are Brazilian, because of course Felipe Massa won here in 2006 and 2008. He looked set to win the World Championship in 2008 before Lewis Hamilton overtook Timo Glock at the final corner in the final braking zone in Junsao. But there's been championship battles that have ended here as well, circa 2006. No, 2006 wasn't the title battle. 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2012, the titles have all been decided at Brazil, because in recent times it has been held as a season finale. When it first came onto the F1 calendar in the 1970s, it was actually the first race of the season. So in 1973, Emerson Fittipaldi won, and he was the championship leader because it was the first round of the season. And it remained that way, and it being towards the start of the season up until I think the 80s, pretty much. And there's been, if I had to look at the list of drivers who have won here that are world champions, we've got Emerson Fittipaldi, Niki Lauda, Alain Prost, Ayrton Senna, Nigel Mansell, Michael Schumacher, Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve, Mika Hakkinen. What I've just noticed that's mind-blowing is that in most years since 1991, the world champion has won this race. So Ayrton Senna in 1991, Nigel Mansell in 1992, Michael Schumacher in 94-95, Damon Hill in 96, Jacques Villeneuve in 97, Hakkinen in 98 and 99, Schumacher in 2000, Schumacher in 2002, Raikkonen in 2007, that's 11 I think, yeah. Vettel in 2010, Vettel in 2013, Hamilton in 2018, no, never mind. There's been 15 winners here since 1991 that have been the world champion the year that's happened. Now, that may be 34 years on paper, but of course there was 1 or 2 races that were missed due to COVID. So that's what's happened there. But yeah, it is 18 minutes away now. We are 18 minutes away now from the race, and we're just seeing Ted Kravitz bin it at Paul Ricard. Ted, you got to remember, mate, you're 50, all right? You're I mean, he's worked in Formula 1 for many years, and he's a very, very clever cookie, but driving is not a big strength of his. But let's be honest, I don't think any of us are that good, let's be honest. I mean, unless Alex O'Grady's watching right now, none of us are really that good, because Alex O'Grady, who watches this sometimes, is in fact a Formula 4 driver. So, let's get in towards the sprint. 18 minutes until it starts, and they've got Naomi Schiff. Thank goodness it's not Danica. But yeah, we've got the McLarens 1-2 on the grid, as you can see at the bottom of your... Oh wait, no, I forgot I got rid of that, didn't I? Yeah, so, as I was saying, McLaren 1-2. I'll show the whole order for you guys. Or, sorry, I'll go through the whole order. Let's see if I can find it. A few latest news. I'm trying to see. Leclerc said that McLarens are so fast, which is quite interesting. Okay, yeah, I'll get the full results. Here's the full results. So yeah, Oscar Piastri on pole with a 108.899. Then second, Lando Norris, 108.928. Third, Charles Leclerc, a 109.153. Max Verstappen, fourth with a 109.219. Carlos Sainz in fifth with a 109.257. And then George Russell with a 109.443. Pierre Gasly with a 109.622. Liam Lawson with a 109.941. Alex Albon with a 1 minute 10.078. Ollie Bearman didn't set a time because his lap time got deleted. Now, what I find quite interesting is that Lewis Hamilton actually would have, on the time he had set, he would have qualified 8th if he had, because the time he set in Q2 wasn't good enough to get into Q3, but if you look at the actual times for Q3, he would have qualified in 8th or 9th place if he had done his lap before Lawson, because it's the exact same time that they did, a 109.941. Nico Hülkenberg and Sergio Perez also would have beaten Alex Albon's time, who qualified 9th, had the results from Q2 being in Q3. So that's really interesting. That doesn't apply, however, for Q1, because nobody in Q1 set a time better than Bottas, who's in 15th. Everybody was at least 4/10 slower. Zhou Guanyu was 2.4 seconds slower, which is a bit crazy. And one wonders, you know, how is he that much off his teammate? I mean, you know, Bottas is a good driver, but he's not that good, and also the Cyber's not that slow. It's almost as if he just knows he's not coming back, and he's just not even trying. But who knows? Maybe he had a car problem. I don't know. I'm just coming up with ideas for it, and I'm probably nowhere near the mark because, well, I don't know what's happening. So I'm not privy to that. I don't know what's going on with Kick Sauber. And, you know, if they're slow, if Zhou is just much slower than Bottas because he's had a car problem or something, or his engine's more worn or something like that, or some excuse, I suppose. But there's Russell talking with Sky Sports ahead of the sprint. 14 minutes until it starts. There's Max Verstappen. And he's just sitting in a chair as cool as a cucumber, just looking over some final details with his engineers, probably ahead of the sprint. There's Alex Albon, who is down on the grid. So it's quite interesting to see the differences between drivers. Some elect to stay in their garages, some go out onto the grid. So Alex Albon's on the grid with his engineer, and he's talking about talking to his engineer. Charles Leclerc, again, on the grid, talking to his engineers. All of them are going to be talking to their engineers at this point to just look over some final pieces of data and remember some information ahead of the race. And I love that, like, the cameras are around them all the time, and they're so nonchalant about it. They're so used to having the cameras around them that it's basically just become a second nature for them. That's absolutely, like, crazy. Leclerc's waving to, I don't know who he's waving to. I suppose there's fans over there, maybe. There are the Brazilian fans. There hasn't been a full-time Brazilian driver on the F1 grid since 2017 when Felipe Massa last drove on the grid, but they are still very passionate about Formula 1. They've had many drivers come through the junior categories, but none of them make it to F1 full-time. Pietro Fittipaldi, and, you know, there's a few others as well, such as Sergio Sette. Apologies. There has been quite a few Brazilian drivers who have come through F2 and F3, but none of them have made it to F1 full-time. Felipe Drugovich is probably the best example of that. He, of course, won F2 in 2022, but he's not been given an F1 seat. There's Ollie Behrman, and he is getting ready to do his third Formula 1 race tomorrow. But before that, he's going to do his first ever sprint, because, of course, when he competed in Saudi Arabia and in, where was the other race that he did? Azerbaijan, I think it was. There wasn't any sprints, so this will be his first F1 sprint. He's done many in F2 and F3 before this, and he's been very impressive when he has driven. You know, he qualified quite well in the Haas today. And there's Oscar Piastri with his manager Mark Webber, who of course won around here in 2009. He has had some good results around here in the past, Mark Webber. In fact, I'm pretty sure he was running very well in the 2003 race before he crashed. So yeah, I mean, if you want somebody giving you advice about Sao Paulo, Mark Webber is going to be one of those people, because he has had success around here before in the Red Bull. And according to the Versatile, 48% chance of rain. So that's going to be very interesting to keep an eye out on, because if there is rain, I could throw a spanner in the works. Maybe that's why Colapinto has gone on to the softs, because, well, if it's going to rain, you might as well just start on the soft compound, because you know you're going to have to pit. And I mean, I don't know if the rain's got anything to do with that, but there's loads of fans hiding under like a little, I don't know what it is, but anyway. There's Lando Norris walking down the grid, and loads of F1 and FIA dignitaries. Max Verstappen now getting interviewed ahead of the sprint. Annoyingly, I can't seem to get... Can I get subtitles? Maybe. Come on. Have I got subtitles? No, I haven't. Never mind. I'll try and work that out later about how I can listen to this and for you guys to have the background music at the same time. There is Brazil's hero Ayrton Senna, and that man's hero Lewis Hamilton. Senna's his hero was Ayrton Senna. Lewis Hamilton starting 11th today, quite low down. However, his time, as I said, I think Bottas is just hella quick. Not 2 seconds quicker though. I mean, if we're comparing, right? I mean, the big Sargent wasn't that much slower than an Albon. If Zhou was in a slightly quicker car and Bottas was performing better, he wouldn't even be in that seat anymore because there'd be so much outrage about him being in that seat. I mean, you can see, yes, Zhou is ahead of him in the driver's standings, but that's only because he's had a better result one time. Bottas has been consistently quicker than him the entirety of the season. And that is mad. Looking at the head-to-head, Verstappen's out-qualified and finished ahead of Perez 19 out of 20 times. That is crazy. I mean, Sargent was beating Zhou consistently, right? I mean, the thing is, the Williams is a much quicker car than the Sauber, which is what I'm trying to get at. It's like, if the Sauber was a quicker car, Zhou wouldn't be in that seat anymore. He'd gotten sacked mid-season probably, because people would have been outraged about it. Then again, I suppose you could make the argument of Sauber needs some sponsors. The mad thing is they have more sponsors than every other team apart from McLaren, and yet they're dead last in the constructors. It's like they're never getting any airtime because they're running right at the back, and yet they got so many sponsors. That's crazy. I think they're going to lose a lot of them, but then again, they wouldn't need sponsors when they've got Audi. And there's Ted Kravitz talking to, speaking of Williams, the Williams team principal James Vowles, of course, used to work for Mercedes. He used to be one of the big wigs, one of the strategy gurus. He, of course, became famous for the Valtteri it's James phrase, especially in Sochi. Colopin to RBR, Bortoleto to Sauber, Mick Schumacher to V-Carb. I don't think that's gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Lawson's gonna get a drive. He has to, because I mean, they have shafted him a couple of times, but now he's getting a run of races to actually show how good he is. Shh. I do think Colapinto could end up in the Red Bull program. I don't know where though. Bortoleto might go to Sauber. I mean, Andrea Stella said that he wouldn't stop Bortoleto, or McLaren wouldn't stop Bortoleto if he chose to do that, because of course he's a junior driver with McLaren. So yeah, it's gonna be hopefully this is gonna be a good sprint. I mean, if the rain does end up coming in the end, 48% chance, then well, that could throw a few spanners in the works. Especially considering some drivers in this field have experience of rain at Interlagos, such as Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Nico Hülkenberg, Valtteri Bottas. They've all got experience of wet conditions here, whereas the other drivers don't, because a lot of them haven't had any rain at Interlagos when they've been racing there, because of course in 2016 it rained. And Marco remarked he doesn't think Lawson is as good as Colpinto or Behrman. That's interesting. That's very interesting, because I think all three of them are very talented, and they all do deserve Formula 1 seats. And I think they deserve it over Mick Schumacher, but that's just my opinion. I think Mick's a good driver, but and I think the Haas did treat him a bit unfairly, and towards the end of the season, where towards the end of 2022, he was quite close to K-Mag, but I do think that Lawson's a better driver than Schumacher is, and I think Helmut Marko would agree on that. I suppose Helmut Marko was saying that, you know, he got really badly treated. Mick's basically just wanting any team to. I mean, he literally drives for Alpine and WEC, and then for Mercedes, he's one of their test drivers. For McLaren, I think he's one of their test drivers. He's trying to basically get as many foots in the door as possible. I mean, he's like an octopus with 8 legs. He's trying to get into every single door, every single opportunity, and he's trying to snatch it when he can take it. Because apparently he had a huge glow up after joining Merck and carrying Alpine and WEC. If I have a look at the standings in WEC, I have been watching WEC a lot more this season. It's been really good to watch. I'm looking to see. They did finish on the podium last time out. They haven't been. He and his teammates, they haven't been much quicker than their other drivers. So, maybe, but I'll go and quickly fill up my water. I'll be back in a second. But yeah, I think he's a very good driver. I do believe that. But it's quite difficult to compare because the other team, Alpine, the other drivers Alpine have, the other lineup, they've not had one consistent driver lineup through the whole season. I don't think the car is good, but he's by far the quickest, I believe. When you've got Nicola Lapierre, Matteo Vaxivière as teammates, and you've been a Formula 1 driver, it's less of a comparison because obviously Lapierre and Vaxivière have not got as much experience of top single-seater racing. If you look at drivers in the WEC fields, Andre Lotterer, Kamui Kobayashi, Nick De Vries, Callum Islet has Will Stevens, Sebastian Buemi, Brendan Hartley, Antonio Giovinazzi, Robert Kubica, as the sequence is beginning, Jenson Button, Jean-Eric Verne, Paul di Resta, Stoffel Van Dorn, Danny Kvyat, and Sebastian Bourdais are the only drivers who've had experience in F1. And that's out of 32, sort of. Well, there's more than 32, but that's like how many are listed here. But there's a lot more than that. But I'm going to go and quickly fill up my water, so I'll be back in a sec. Kobayashi did leave F1 too soon. I just want to very quickly say that before I go and fill up my water bottle. My water. So here we are for Interlagos for the Brazilian Grand Prix, or Sao Paulo Grand Prix I should say, sprint. 347.4 kilometers an hour, 216 miles an hour, 15 turns, 42.98 meters. That's the top speed, the turns, and the elevation. Oh, the beautiful city of Sao Paulo, home to the Sao Paulo football team. And probably a couple of other things. I'm just trying to get this plugged back in again. Again, I do not know how this isn't copyrighted. What on earth happened there? What's happened there? Oh, it's ended up like that. Anyway, what I'll do is I think I'll trying to sort out my mic, guys. Very quick. This is a pivotal weekend for Lando when it comes to becoming world champion. Yeah, he needs to do a lot, and Oscar needs to help him as well. Oscar Piastri needs to help him to try and help McLaren out. I mean, they've also got they have to remember though that they've still got that constructors battle with Ferrari. They need to remember that because they are still there. Ferrari are still there. They're not going away anytime soon. It's not like, you know, it's not like that one relative that you see once every like 4 months because they're on holiday in Saint-Tropez half the time. Nah, I'm saying that as if it's like from experience. It's not. None of my family are that rich. I mean, I have one of my relatives is like I mean, all I'm gonna say is he has an MB. And he owns more than one house, so I don't know if that would count as wealthy or not. I mean, suppose not, because my dad technically owns one property, but anyway, that's not the point. I'm trying to work this out. My microphone stand out, because it's quite a tricky little contraption. Oh wait a minute, I forgot I can rotate this, can't I? I'm silly. See, the thing is, I didn't know I could rotate this. I forgot I could rotate that, so I was sticking it in a weird way. That's what she said. Right. Anyway, there we go. Right, they've gotten underway for the formation lap. Let me just get it properly. Have I busted this? I think I've busted it. But yeah, it is a pivotal weekend for Lando, and Oscar does need to help him out quite a lot. Yeah, I think I've busted this. Or have I? No, I haven't. Never mind. This is very difficult. Yeah, I think I busted it. But yeah, they're heading around the last corner now, getting ready for the start of the race. Right, I'll go and try this one more time. I've lost literally all my viewers now because I'm trying to sort out my microphone stand. So this is exactly why... Right, there we go, I've got my audio up a bit better now. Right, I'm gonna have to hold it slightly, which is not a good idea because I am not good at all at this. I've already busted my microphone stand. And it just does that. You can't even see the microphone, you can barely hear me now, so... I mean, if I get it like that, I think I'll be okay, but... It's quite difficult to get it like that. But anyway, right. Here we are, we're getting ready for the start of the sprint. I think that's... Joe's starting from the pit lane. To be honest, I think that would benefit him because it means that you'd avoid chaos if anything happened. I'm just gonna hold this, screw it. So yeah, getting ready for the start here. There's Ollie Behrman, the Haas driver. I'm just gonna go full screen now because I've got stuff up on the chat up on my phone and everything. But here we are, green flag out at the back. We've got 3 drivers starting from the pit lane, the Aston Martins and Joe. 5 red lights, and we're away for the sprints. Good start initially from Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri covers him into turn 1. And there goes Max Verstappen down the inside of the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc comes and gets back ahead of him though, heading out to turn number 3. And the Aston Martins now coming into focus in the background. Here's Alex Albon having a little battle with Liam Lawson for the bottom of the top 10 positions as we head in towards turn number 5 now. And everybody seems to be away safely and comfortably, but it's still a McLaren 1-2 with Leclerc in third, Verstappen right on the tail of the Ferrari. And already the McLaren's tried to gap out the Ferrari and the Red Bull behind them as they head in towards the climbing up and down section of the circuit. This is going to be very, very, very key for McLaren here to get away from the Red Bull and the Ferrari and the Red Bull, as already they do have quite a big gap out as they head into Jones South to end the first lap of this 24 lap sprint. So it's Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Russell. That's the top 6. And then following them, it is Pierre Gasly. And I think that's Ollie Bearman in 8th, is it? No, it's not. It's not. Never mind. It is Liam Lawson and then Ollie Bearman. That makes up the top 9 of the race. And I think Alex Albon is down in 10th. Although I think Sergio Perez or Lewis Hamilton might have had a little impact on him. DRS enabled now. And Max Verstappen closing up on Charles Leclerc. He's not close enough though. Heading in towards turn 4. He is going to be trying his very best to limit the amount of points that McLaren and Lando Norris can get. As Sergio Perez goes down the inside of Alex Albon. And Nico Hülkenberg has made a very good start. It's actually him that's up in 9th. He's gotten ahead of his teammate Ollie Bearman, as well as Lewis Hamilton, Alex Albon and Sergio Perez. So he's had a very, very good start, has the German driver. So there's the two Haas's right next to each other on the track behind the RB of Liam Lawson. It's the youngster and the statesman of the sport, Ollie Bearman, up against Nico Hülkenberg. Ollie Bearman was just a 5-year-old child when Nico Hülkenberg made his F1 debut back in 2010, and now they're racing against each other. In fact, Nico legally in pretty much any country is almost as old enough to be Ollie's dad, which is absolutely crazy. But here comes Max Verstappen now. He's going to try and make a move on Charles Leclerc in towards turn 1. He goes to the outside. Charles Leclerc is going to cover the inside and make sure that he can't hang it around the outside and make the move stick. Verstappen right behind him still as they come out of turn number 3 and heading in towards turn 4 and 5. As here comes Verstappen, he's going down the inside. Leclerc covers him and he does a very good job at making sure he doesn't get ahead. Already the McLaren's got 1.5 seconds on the Ferrari as Sergio Perez gets himself ahead of Alex Albon and up into 11th place. He's going to be trying to get himself into the points. Of course, him and Liam Lawson have already had numerous arguments already, and since Lawson has returned into F1. And the McLaren's very close together up front, just half a second between Piastri and Norris. Piastri said that if it got to the situation where they were 1 and 2 and he was ahead of Norris, he would let through his teammate. Now Verstappen comes on the radio with Verstappen's engineer JP Lambiase saying, "Take your time, Max, you know the game." So there goes Lando Norris with the fastest lap. And I think the game he's referring to is the game of tyre saving. And you know how I thought Colapinto was on softs? Never mind, he's on the mediums. As Charles Leclerc now sets the fastest lap of the race. He is closed right up to the McLarens now. He's only 9 tenths behind now and has DRS on them, which will help him in his battle against Verstappen. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz is in a bit of a no man's land situation. He's already 2 seconds behind Verstappen, but nearly 2 ahead of George Russell, who has Pierre Gasly right behind him. And he's got a train of cars behind him, in fact, the DRS train going all the way up until Oliver Bearman in 10th. Here's a replay of the race start. It was a good start from Piastri, also from Norris as well. Leclerc got away well. Verstappen trying to make a move down the inside of him, heading into turn 1. He even locked up, actually, as a result, he had to kind of back out of it. Meanwhile, we can see the McLaren drivers heading through towards Junsao, heading out of the end of the sort of S's section of the track. And it's going to be very tight between the two McLarens here. They've got to make sure that if they do end up battling, that they don't get the Ferrari involved, or if they do switch positions, that they don't get the Ferrari involved. Max Verstappen actually got really close to hitting Lando Norris there, heading in towards turn 1 because of his lockup. So thankfully he avoided hitting him. But here's a replay of George Russell off the start. It wasn't a good start from... Wait, no, was that Russell? I don't think that was Russell. That was Hamilton. Here's Bearman at the start, and he was fighting his car, and Hülkenberg got past him, and he was making sure that he didn't spin there. Perez even got ahead of him as well, before he eventually got back ahead of the Mexican. And then this was him hanging around the outside of Alex Albon. Very, very good move from the man from Chelmsford. Russell locking up into turn 1. Maybe this is exactly why he lost so much time to Carlos Sainz, because he locked up heading into turn 1 and had to skip the Senna S's bit, but he didn't gain any time from it. The McLaren's still very close together on the track, and now the Ferrari has joined the party as Lando Norris is now 7 tenths behind Piastri. And he says, "Yeah, I'm close," and they say, "Okay, understood." There's a 1 second gap, over a 1 second gap between the between Leclerc and Norris. Norris 7 tenths behind Piastri if McLaren were to make the move, they'd probably best do it now, because there are, well, there's a good enough gap anyway between Norris and Charles Leclerc. And, well, I mean, it's a bit of a stalemate at the moment up front. Meanwhile, a bit further back, Russell still has Gasly and Lawson and the Haas's, and even now Sergio Perez on his tail. And there's the camera cutting to that now. Sergio Perez is right behind Ollie Bearman here. He's going to try and figure out a way to get past the Haas driver, but he can't get ahead for now, and you'll have to wait until the main straight to do that. Norris, meanwhile, still just 6 or 7 tenths back. We understand, just keep an eye on Leclerc behind, is what his engineers are saying to him. Leclerc is a little bit behind him. He's 1.2 seconds back, so he's not in the DRS of him at the moment, but if he can just close up a little bit, maybe he could get in that 1 second window which he needs to get the drag reduction system, which gives you an extra 20 kilometers an hour. And it's been a very, very good drive so far from Oscar Piastri. He's led all 7 of the laps so far. Max Verstappen setting the fastest lap of the race. Norris and Piastri are still just running line astern up front. Verstappen, on the other hand, trying to get ahead of Leclerc. And I think the McLarens are going to see this as an opportunity to try and do the switch. Because these two are doing battle and they're going to lose time. I mean, Carlos Sainz, he's 3.4 seconds behind them, but I can see him closing up because of this battle a little bit. Lando's saying, yeah, but I'm not sure what I'm doing here, mate. I thought we spoke about this, is what Lando's saying over the radio. I think he's trying to insinuate, you know, Oscar should let me through, and I mean, that's how things should be. Is that probably what he's trying to say? Leclerc has now gotten back in DRS and Norris now. So I wonder if the dirty air is having an effect on Norris, and it is. He had a little skid there, and he's lost a bit of time from that. He's now 1.2 seconds behind Piastri, and he needs protection from his teammate at a time where he looks to be quite vulnerable in this race. Leclerc and Verstappen are now line astern with him on the track. They're right behind him, heading down the main straight to start lap number 8 of the race. And Norris is 1.3 seconds behind his teammate, 7 tenths ahead of Leclerc, and 6 tenths further Leclerc to Verstappen. Sainz not really closing up in this battle, so it's a fight for second at the moment between the top 3 in the championship in almost a reverse order. It is Norris and then Leclerc and Verstappen. Verstappen's got DRS on Leclerc here. He's going to try and make a move, but he's again just a little bit too far back to have any sort of impact on the Ferrari driver, and Leclerc is used to battling with Verstappen on the track. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the race so far? Lando Norris is saying understood. Lando Norris's engineer saying understood. Keep doing whatever you're doing, and then he says, yeah, whatever. Bit rude. I think that happened in Monaco one time, where like Leclerc was like, be quiet, and he was like, that's a bit rude, and he was like, sorry. Anyway, Norris still 1.2 seconds behind Piastri. He's not able to close up on his teammate, and Piastri's having a very good time of it here, considering Norris has a lot more experience of Interlagos than Piastri does. Piastri is doing a very, very good job here to stay in the lead. I mean, Norris is closing up, but he's still not close enough. The gap between Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc just half a second here, and let's see if Leclerc can make an impact on him. In fact, Verstappen's closer. Oh, and this is a battle going on between the two Haas drivers, Bearman and Hülkenberg. Perez is joining in on it now as well. They've lost a lot of time to Lawson and Gasly up ahead, and as a result, they are battling for 9th place now. Quick reminder, 9th does not get you points in a sprint. 8th place does. Hülkenberg been passed by Bearman, and now Perez goes past Hülkenberg as well and gets himself up into 10th. He's going to try and now get past Oliver Bearman, who's now going to also try and close up on Liam Lawson, who's battling with Pierre Gasly over 7th in this sprint. They're going for 2 points in this race. Meanwhile, up ahead at the front of the field, Piastri now only 9.5 tenths ahead of Norris. Norris does have the DRS now on his teammate, and that is going to help him out against Leclerc and Verstappen. I think Piastri is just sort of realizing, yeah, I mean, maybe I should play the teammate game a little bit here. We haven't heard any radio from him in this race, and as I say that, the radio does come up, and his engineer Will Joseph says, give Lando DRS. Now, I don't think that McLaren have executed this particularly well, because they had a stage where they were outside the DRS of both Leclerc and Verstappen and were comfortable up front, and now they've got them right behind. And this, I don't think McLaren have executed this particularly well at all. So they're going to need to do a good job here in making sure that their drivers don't lose ground to the Ferraris, and don't the Ferrari of Leclerc and the Red Bull of Verstappen, or end up in a situation where Norris or Piastri could in fact drop behind them. Because, I mean, we've seen this before, teammates trying to help each other out and losing time to others. We've seen this many times in Formula 1, but it's going to be, you know, McLaren have executed some things very poorly this season, especially in Hungary. But this is a replay of Ollie Behrman's overtake on his teammate Nico Hülkenberg. And this is a proper lunge. Oh my goodness, he's gone from very far back. I don't know if he was told that Hülkenberg was going to let him through, but if he wasn't, it's a very good move. He was very far back, and maybe Verstappen, Leclerc, and Norris should take some notes from that overtake. With that being said, Perez then immediately got ahead of Hülkenberg at the next braking zone, heading in towards the start of the second sector, and it was a very good move from Perez. Not as good as the move from Behrman, though, on his own teammates. Speed trap, top speed, Max Verstappen, 206 miles an hour, and then Tsunoda with 205 miles an hour, and Lawson with 203. So they, in fact, do give you wings, Red Bull, as Norris 8.5 tenths back from Oscar Piastri, and in turn, oh, now Sergio Perez has got past Oliver Behrman for 9th. Now he's going to try and close up to Liam Lawson for 8th in this race, but Norris now outside of DRS of his teammate once again, and he just does not seem to have the pace over Piastri at the moment. Now, Piastri never said anything about Norris being slower than him in these situations. At the moment, Norris is closing 2 points up on Verstappen, but he's still quite a long way back from him in the standings. I mean, 45 points, it's a very difficult margin to close, especially considering Leclerc himself is only 25 points back from Norris, and as a result, 70 points back from Verstappen. Quick maths. But now, Norris, I mean, the Ferraris are just, the Ferrari Leclerc is just not able to get ahead of that McLaren. Verstappen just isn't able to get ahead of Leclerc at the moment. It's a game of cat and mouse between the top four at the moment, and you can just see signs in the background just sort of struggling pace-wise. Norris running second. I mean, the top 5, top 6, top 7, top 8 has stayed the exact same as what the starting grid was. So, I mean, we can't say there's been a lot of overtaking up front, but there has in the midfield, especially with Sergio Perez and Ollie Behrman and Nico Hülkenberg making their places up on the opening laps and later on in the race. And here is a replay of that Perez move on Ollie Behrman. It was similar to his move on Hülkenberg, really, just down the inside into the braking zone at turn number 5, and it was a good overtake, and now he's got himself up into 9th, and he's already made a lot of headway on Liam Lawson. He's only 1 second behind him now, and he's 2 seconds ahead of Ollie Behrman, so Perez has got quite a lot of pace here. Will be very mindful of that heading into qualifying, because if he doesn't have a similar pace in qualifying, well, I mean, we're going to be wondering how is he this quick. But Verstappen right behind Leclerc here, and this is an opportunity here for Max Verstappen to try and get ahead, and for McLaren to do a switch potentially for the lead. Here comes Max Verstappen. He was right behind Leclerc heading into the Senna S's. He's tried to make a move, but Leclerc has gone to the left and then gone back into the racing lane again. And it's good defending from the Monegasque driver of Ferrari, making sure he stays ahead of the man who was his championship rival for a period in 2022, before eventually Verstappen just enabled demon mode and ended up winning the championship comfortably. Here is Piastri and Lando Norris battling for the lead of the race. I say battling, I mean Piastri is probably going to let him through in a minute, because Lando has closed back up on Oscar in this race. Now, if you are Oscar Piastri, you're going to have to try and do this, but do it very carefully. And Verstappen saying, come on Charles, man, so many mistakes. So he's annoyed at Leclerc for making mistakes and losing time to the McLarens, because the McLarens have now got a bit of a gap out on Leclerc. Now, Verstappen will take a positive from that, and that positive is that Leclerc doesn't have as much of a slipstream effect or DRS than he did on the previous lap, but Verstappen, due to the dirty air, has lost a lot of that time that he had on Leclerc. That opportunity at the Senna, coming out of the Senna S's, was the best chance he would have had in this race, probably, purely because of how close he was. Now Sergio Perez is right behind Liam Lawson in this race, so he's going to try and get ahead of him. So while these four are stalemated, Perez is making moves, getting himself into the points where he should be, realistically, as a Red Bull driver. As Alonso and Stroll currently just battling for the wooden spoon of 18th place at the moment. Here is Lando Norris right behind Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen, right behind Charles Leclerc. Although Verstappen did have a little bit of a skid there coming out of the corner. He had a little bit of oversteer and lost a tenth and a half almost to Leclerc as they're coming onto the main straight now, and Norris has lost 3/10 to Piastri. He has dropped right back, and Leclerc has DRS on him again. So I mean, any time Piastri loses time to Norris, Norris just then goes and makes a mistake or oversteers in the dirty air and loses time again to him, just like with Verstappen and Leclerc here. Anytime we think a move's going to happen, nothing ends up happening in the end because, well, dirty air. I mean, it's quite prevalent here as Sergio Perez gets ahead of Liam Lawson, and there's a replay of Alonso getting past Stroll. Stroll's now lost 1.6 seconds to him, so I don't know if anything has happened there in regards to a collision or if Stroll's just lacking pace. But Lawson and Perez dueling away, and I think Lawson's got the elbows out because Perez has suddenly lost a whole second to him. So that'll be interesting to watch if the TV director actually decides to actually get up from their desk for once and actually, you know, focus on a battle that isn't at the front, because these guys are in a stalemate at the moment. And it has been a stalemate for 15 of the 24 laps. So this has been quite a dull race, I have to say. Perez closing back up to Lawson again after trying to get ahead of him first time around. Here comes Lando Norris, 7/10 behind Oscar Piastri. He's probably not going to be close enough to make a move here. Just like Verstappen isn't going to be close enough to make a move on Leclerc, but he is right behind him heading into the Senna S's. And he's ran wide Verstappen, and that's going to lose him quite a bit of time to Leclerc and to Carlos Sainz behind him, as now he's a second behind Leclerc and 3.6 ahead of Sainz, 3.4 now. Before that turn, he was 4 seconds ahead. Perez still trying to close up on Lawson, who now is battling with Gasly for 7th. Norris on the radio, I don't know what he's saying because I can't listen to the audio. Otherwise, I'll get claimed. But he is right behind Piastri now, and I think Piastri is sort of letting him close up slowly but surely and not wanting to make too much of a farce of it, because, I mean, Leclerc is 1.3 behind them, but he's still very close. It's not like the gap that they have to Sainz, who is, you know, about 6 seconds behind them, if I'm doing my math quickly and correctly. So, you know, it's still very tight in this race, so McLaren are going to have to be careful here. If I'm McLaren, though, I do it right now because, I mean, Leclerc's 1.3 behind them. Suggest red A4 is what McLaren, Lando's engineer is saying. And Lando says, yeah, I will overtake. So I don't know if red A4 is sort of a team order or if it's an engine mode of some sort. It's probably an engine mode. Because anything involving numbers is usually an engine mode. But here's a replay of Sergio Perez, and this is him trying to get past Liam Lawson, and I want to see if I'm correct in saying Lawson forced him out. And no, Perez just ran really wide, trying to get ahead of him, and he knows that that fight is a fight for his future. This fight for 7th place between him, Lawson and Gasly, although many people say that that future is already over because of his poor performances throughout this season. Even if he does have a final good few races, he's not doing enough at the moment. As heading into the end of the S's section one more time, the up and down section, and heading into Junsao, Lando Norris still close to Oscar Piastri, but not close enough. He's apparently about a second back from him. He oversteers on the exit of the corner a little bit, as he's now out of DRS of him, but I think he might have picked it up through the DRS line. Piastri on the radio, and I don't know what they're saying. I don't know if they're saying, you know, let Lando through or anything like that, but meanwhile behind, Leclerc and Verstappen still dueling away, as heading into the end of the Senna S's, Verstappen's really close here, and I think this time he might actually get the move done because Leclerc has oversteered on the exit. Verstappen's got a run here. He's going to try and make the move. Leclerc goes to the inside. Verstappen needs to outbrake him here, and he does. He gets ahead of him, and he gets himself up into 3rd place behind Lando Norris. And now McLaren are going to have to act quickly because Now panic mode is going to set in here, as now Verstappen loses only 1 point to Norris instead of 2. Well, I mean, according to the British media, anyway, that's what's going on. But yeah, top 4 in the standings are top 4 in the race, which is quite funny, actually. If only Russell was ahead of Hamilton in the standings. Albon gets ahead of Hülkenberg. Norris just inside DRS of Piastri here, as they head in straight to start lap 19 of 24. This race has flown right by, as just like F1 cars do, at over 200 miles an hour, and they are both going at over 200 miles an hour on the main straight. 7/10 back, probably a little bit too far back, unless Oscar deliberately runs wide and lets him go. But I feel like he's going to do this right at the end, if he is going to do it, because they don't want to lose time to Verstappen, but they already seem to be a little bit, because he's 1.4 behind, and Leclerc has already dropped quite a bit back on Verstappen. He's 1.6 behind him, so the Red Bull having good late race pace here. Ferrari's struggling a little bit towards the end, and Verstappen's engineer saying, come on mate, let's chase him down, as McLaren's still run lane astern up front. Piastri 7/10 ahead of Lando Norris, who's a further 1.5 seconds ahead of Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton gets ahead of Franco Colapinto for 13th. This is a replay of Lando Norris, and it's him having yet more oversteer. We've seen a lot of oversteering moments today coming out of Junsao because of the dirty air, as well as coming out of turn 5 or 6, as the timing screen's a little bit strange at the moment. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, battle between Max and Lando. Max is closing up. Piastri's engineer saying Verstappen, we believe, is faster than Leclerc. I mean, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? I mean, he passed him, and he's quite a bit ahead of him on track. I suppose he's trying to covertly just say to him, just try and let Lando through as soon as you can. But here is Perez trying once again on Liam Lawson. Down the inside he goes. Lawson's defending really hard for it, but Perez does get ahead eventually. Lawson's going to want to get back ahead of him again, as they both try and fight Pierre Gasly for 7th place, who's a little bit further up ahead. And neither of them have DRS, but Lawson's on Gasly, but Lawson's going to get it on Perez here. Not enough, though, to get ahead. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton, who's gotten ahead of Hülkenberg, is now going to try and get ahead of Ollie Behrman, who is going to be, what some people say, the replacement for him at Ferrari in a couple of years' time, as Hülkenberg has got a mechanical problem. He has got fluid coming out of his car, and I don't know if this is a mechanical problem or if his car has just been bottoming out a bit, but based on the fact that he's losing so much ground, I think he has a mechanical problem of some sorts, as this is a replay of hitting into turn 1. Hamilton making a move on Albon, as Albon and Hamilton both get a bit sneaky on the exit, but Albon nearly spun it there. Wow, very good save from Alex Albon to make sure that he didn't crash into Lewis Hamilton or into the barriers, just like what happened with Alonso, I think it was, one year. And there's Hülkenberg pulled off to the side of the road, and we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. McLaren are going to need to swap their positions really quickly if they want to win this race with Norris, as here comes Hamilton down the inside of Ollie Behrman for 11th. Hülkenberg is out of the race with mechanical trouble, and why aren't McLaren switching right now? I don't know, but they're going to have to do it quickly, otherwise they are going to end up as they are, unless the series can clear up in the next couple of laps, because it's lap 21 out of 24, and Norris is 1 second behind Piastri with only 3 laps left. And Hülkenberg has managed to get going again, which is quite strange, and he's looking very confused. He's thinking, what's going on here? Why are they still going on? And surely Norris is going to get ahead of Piastri. Surely Piastri is going to let him through, because, I mean, he has to. There's going to be a safety car in a second. Why haven't they thrown the safety car yet? That's dangerous, honestly. Very dangerous from the FIA to not throw a safety car. And they've done it. They've done the switch. And Norris is now in the lead. And watch them pull out the safety car any second now, because of Hülkenberg. They still haven't done it yet. They still haven't done it. And now Piastri is under pressure from Verstappen. Now, I wonder if McLaren are going to, say, maybe maybe be a little bit more aggressive towards Verstappen. But I'm surprised they haven't thrown the safety car yet. Throw a safety car, guys! Hulkenberg's literally out of the race on the side of the track. And Oscar's engineer says, thanks, mate. Why haven't they thrown a virtual safety car? I know he's off the track, but he's still not in a great spot. I mean, Verstappen's now right behind Piastri, and he's oversteered coming out at the last corner. And there's a virtual safety car now coming out, and I think a lot of people are going to be asking, why was it so late that it was thrown out? Because, I mean, it took far too long there. I think some people are going to be wondering, did they let the McLaren swap happen before they threw that? And I genuinely think something could be involved there. But Hulkenberg out of the race. Virtual safety car thrown. And we are heading on towards the penultimate lap of this race. The question is are we going to get any more racing done? I don't think we will, because where Hulkenberg's car is I mean, it's not exactly a great spot to pull the cars off. And yeah, things going well for McLaren here. 1-2. Norris first, Piastri in second, with Verstappen in third and Leclerc fourth. Then it's Carlos Sainz in fifth, George Russell in sixth, Pierre Gasly seventh, Sergio Perez in eighth, getting ahead of Liam Lawson just before the end of that period of the race under green flag. Then it's Alex Albon in 10th, Lewis Hamilton in 11th, Ollie Bearman in 12th, Franco Colapinto in 13th, Esteban Ocon in 14th, Yuki Tsunoda 15th, 16th Valtteri Bottas, 17th Zhou, 18th Alonso, 19th Stroll. And Verstappen saying pay attention to this, because if he is driving slowly and erratically, report this. So Verstappen's trying his very best to get something out of this, even if it doesn't end up going back to green flag racing. And you know what, fair enough. I mean, you got to respect the hustle after all. I mean, he's trying to get something to happen to Piastri. And I don't think this race is going to restart personally, but maybe it might just end just before the end of this race. I mean, the positive of a virtual safety car is that once it's ended, you can just go straight back to green flag racing. You don't need to wait until the next lap as we head into the final lap of the race. Is the virtual safety car, going to end beforehand? Or is this race going to end? And it's ending now, so we're going to go back to green flag racing just before the end here. And this is going to be an opportunity for Max Verstappen, and he's right behind Oscar Piastri. Now, I think he might have gone a little bit too early there, because the virtual safety car has only just resumed now, and I think he got told to let Piastri through there because he went just a little bit too quickly. I think Verstappen, either that or Piastri went too slow. But I don't think Piastri did go too slow, because he is in fact only 7 tenths behind Lando Norris, who is doing a very good job at making sure his teammate is right behind him, just like Piastri was doing earlier, making sure that he's in the DRS. It's if it's a you scratch your my back and I'll scratch your situation here between the two McLaren drivers, and Verstappen's just not able to close up on the McLaren of Piastri. Heading into the last corner now, Jun Sao to end the sprint. And for the first time this season, it's not going to be Max Verstappen on the top step of the podium. It's going to be Lando Norris, and the Brit's going to come across the line to win the sprint for McLaren and close 2 points up in the championship on Max Verstappen. McLaren get a 1-2, which is good for their fight against Ferrari, who finish only 4th and 5th. But that's going to be everything from me for now, and I will be back at 6 o'clock for qualifying. So, bye guys.